Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage, an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 2011280L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley, and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this, they lob it to him, he taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3, he's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees are not, or even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risser along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And good news for the Yankees yesterday as them and Anthony Rizzo agreed on a 2-year, $34 million deal. Big news for the Yankees, getting him back on this team. I mean, this was big for them, and this could definitely impact them signing Aaron Judge. But Anthony Rizzo over the last, couple, since they traded for him in July of 2021, I think he's been their third best player behind Judge and Stanton.
Yeah, he's been good. Career high in home runs last year. Usually has a pretty good on-base percentage. I know the average wasn't great this year. But, yeah, he's been an important part. He seems like he's a leader in that locker room. Him and Judge seem pretty close, so I think, could be a good thing, for having Judge come back, kind of bringing back Anthony Rizzo. So, yeah, I like this move, and glad he's coming back because he's one of their better hitters too in the postseason. So, good lefty back. His swing fits well for that ballpark. So definitely good. Definitely glad he's going to be back in pinstripes next year.
And you made a good point about being one of their better hitters in the postseason. He absolutely is. He had that huge home run in Game 1, a game that I was at in the postseason, and he almost hit 300 in the postseason. He gets it with 2 strikes. He's not trying to hit a home run. He's trying to get a base hit. He gets it. He gets how you need to hit in the postseason, which a lot of Yankees do not get at all. He clearly gets it.
Oh yeah, he absolutely does. As you mentioned, not too many guys, other Yankees do that on this team. There's a lot of teams that, that's a new philosophy of baseball nowadays. But yeah, just being a leader clubhouse, he's been clutch in the postseason. He's won that World Series too with the Cubs, so he knows what it takes to, get there. So yeah, he's had some big at bats for the Yankees, and definitely a guy that, I love having on this team, and he's a great defensive first baseman as well.
Now, the big question is, what impact does this have on Aaron Judge now that Rizzo has signed? Does Rizzo know that, they're close to getting a deal done with Judge, and that's why he signed here? Do you think this has any impact with Aaron Judge? I think it does.
I think it does too. I think it's a good thing because I think him and Judge are really close. I think it kind of shows Judge that we're still trying, that we're going to be competitive. We're trying to go out there, win World Series. So yeah, I think it's a good signing here. Hey, Hal Steinbrenner said yesterday too, like, with Judge, I don't really have like a payroll. So it sounds like they'll pay Judge whatever, his highest bid or whatever he wants. So I don't think, giving Andy Rizzo your $17 million is going to affect, Aaron Judge, the Yankees. It sounds like Steinbrenner, will give Judge, it sounds like they're not going to be outbid for Judge, which, is great.
Yeah, Steinbrenner said he wants Judge to be a Yankee for life. And let me tell you one thing, Judge better be a Yankee. Yeah, you don't bring back Aaron Boone and then it looks like they're going to bring up Brian Cashman. You don't bring back Boone and Cashman and not sign Judge.
No, you don't. That will absolutely destroy this fan base. That will start a riot outside Yankee Stadium within the hours. They don't resign him. So, yeah, bringing those guys back, you got to assume Judge is, they find a way to sign Judge. Yeah, maybe the Giants and Dodgers kind of, higher, make make that cost go higher for him. But I think they'll find a way to keep him. I think it's a good thing bringing back Rizzo. I think that only helps the Yankees in their case of showing Judge that, we're always going to be a contender.
Exactly. So now we'll get to some of the awards, and we'll start with Rookie of the Year. And this was an obvious one in the American League. Julio Rodriguez hit 28 home runs, 75 RBIs. He can hit for power. He had that great catch in Game 3 of the ALDS. I mean, this is going to be the Mariners' best player for a while. Well deserved. He's the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question about it. Big part. He's going to be a future superstar. Was a big part of helping Seattle get off the mat this year, getting them back in the playoffs. Disappointing finish, but I think it's only the future for Seattle. I think they'll find a way to get better. I know they already got Teoscar Hernandez from Toronto today to improve that outfield. So, if Seattle's going to be, seems like they're going to be a contender here for a while. Seems like they got a really nice core of guys here, and Julio Rodriguez is going to be in the middle of that for the next 13, 14 years. It's great to re-sign him already.
Absolutely. That was definitely a big pickup going out and getting Teoscar Hernandez today. Move on to the National League Rookie of the Year, Michael Harris. Pretty obvious, too. Hit almost 300 for the Braves. Had a really, really good year for them playing center field. It's well-deserved for him. Yeah,
absolutely. Came up from Double-A, really good in the outfield. I know the questions was like the bat, but, he swung the bat really well this year. The Braves have built a really good farm system, and guys can come up whenever, and they've contributed. And that's been no different with Michael Harris. Definitely well deserved. And he's going to be a force, in that outfield for years to come for Atlanta.
Absolutely. AL Manager of the Year, Terry Francona. I think that's a pretty obvious choice. Team wasn't expected to be great. Came one game away from getting to the ALCS. So, I mean, Francona's proving why he is clearly a Hall of Famer and one of the best managers in the game. And he continues to prove it year in, year out.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done a great job wherever he's gone. Boston too, and he did a phenomenal job with this team. I figured he was going to get it, but I wouldn't have been surprised if it's Brandon Hyde. He did a wonderful job with Baltimore.
That's a good point. Brandon Hyde's a good point too. Yeah, Brandon Hyde did a great job as well.
Yeah, because they didn't get the playoffs like Francona did, but yeah, they out exceeded their expectations this year. But yeah, Francona's done a wonderful job. It's finally great to see him healthy this year too. I know he's been kind of in and out of the dugout the last couple of years. But yeah, it's a really young Cleveland team, and again, he's the type of guy. He's already gotten the World Series there once, and with all this young core with Jose Ramirez coming back as well, wouldn't be shocked the next couple of years that Cleveland team does find a way back to World Series.
This is probably the one award that's not totally obvious is Buck Showalter winning Manager of the Year with the Mets. Yes, the Mets had a great year. They won over 100 games, but they were not good in the playoffs. And I think the manager that actually beat him in the playoffs very easily could have won Manager of the Year in Bob Melvin. And if Rob Thompson was the manager the entire year with the Phillies, he probably could have won Manager of the Year.
Yeah, they both could have, or all three of them could have. But yeah, Buck, you could see he changed that culture this year with the Mets, and I think that's probably a big part why. But you could see the same thing with Bob Melvin and what he did with the Padres, because he's been phenomenal, when Melvin was there in Oakland. But yeah, Buck did a phenomenal job. Yeah, you could have gone either Bob Melvin or Buck Showalter. But yeah, Buck did a phenomenal job with this Mets team. Again, we'll see what happens this offseason. I know they got some, DeGrom's a big item this offseason, but yeah, good year for Buck and that Mets team. You could see that he did, change things around. That team was in first place pretty much to the end.
Now we got the AL and NL Cy Youngs. They haven't announced them yet, but we'll make our predictions for both awards. And I think the AL is pretty obvious. In the AL, I'm definitely going Verlander. 18-4, had an ERA under 2. Still proving at his age he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. And let me tell you, if a team can get whoever signs him, they probably have the best pitcher in the game, even at his age. And then in the NL, I'm going to go with Sandy Alcantara. His ERA 2.28, highest ERA in the National League, 14-9. For a Marlins lineup that had guys in and out of the lineup and a bunch of injuries. So I'll go Verlander in the AL and Alcantara in the NL.
Yeah, I agree with both of those. Verlander, unbelievable year. Yeah, free agent. I know the Yankees offered him $25 million last year as well. The Astros did, offer him the same thing. He decided to go back to Houston. But yeah, coming off the injury, he was phenomenal. He had an unbelievable year. He's still one of the best pitchers out there. Again, big game. He was unbelievable. His final start of the year, he almost had a no-hitter through 6 or whatever that was. Or 6-7 thing against the Phillies. So yeah, he's phenomenal all year. To have an under 2 ERA in this day and age is pretty impressive all year. And then Alcantara was unbelievable. That rotation they have is so good. They just don't have the lineup that can help them out.
And the problem is they can't pay to those guys either.
No, they don't. Yeah, it's unfortunate that they don't have the payroll. They don't spend it all.
6 complete games this year?
Yeah, 6.
Wow.
Which is something that's wild nowadays. But Don Madden let him go the distance at times. But yeah, he was phenomenal this year. I think he's gonna get it. I know it's the 14-9 record, but you can't really put a ton on him. Just to strike out the rate, over 200 strikeouts, only 50 walks. So he had an unbelievable year with the Marlins.
Absolutely. He absolutely did. Now we go to AL and NL MVP. And in the NL, I think it was close between him and Pete Alonso, but I'm going to give it to Paul Goldschmidt. Hit 35 home runs, 115 RBIs, and he hit over 300. The difference between him and Alonso is I think Goldschmidt had a better batting average. Alonso hit 271, even though he had more home runs and RBIs. Alonso had as many RBIs as Judge, 131. But I'm going to go with Paul Goldschmidt in the NL and in the AL. If you're not voting for this guy, you have no idea what you're talking about. If you're a BBWA writer, you're not voting for this guy, you should never have a vote for an MVP again. It is obvious. This should be unanimous. This is the best season. I have one of the best baseball seasons, one of the best individual seasons I've seen in my lifetime. Aaron Judge, 62 home runs, 131 RBIs. He hits over 300. There is no way anybody else should come close to winning the MVP than Aaron Judge. It has got to be Aaron Judge in the American League.
Yeah, completely agree. It's Judge. Phenomenal season. Yeah, we had one of the best years that we'll see. What he meant to that lineup. Hitting over 300. He was phenomenal. To be that locked in all year is really impressive nowadays. And it just again he was a huge part why the Yankees found a way to win the division this year and kind of exceed expectations in the regular season, I guess. But yeah, Ohtani's great, but there should just be his own award just for him because he's such a special player. But yeah, Judge deserves the MVP. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, I went with Goldschmidt too. I was close between him, Alonso, and Machado. I know Goldschmidt cooled off a little bit there in September because his average at one point was close to 330 for most of the year, I believe. But yeah, him and Arenado, they won the division with his average too, just still hitting over right around 315. He had an unbelievable season. He's a great defensive first baseman as well. So yeah, I did go with Paul Goldschmidt too. And again, winning the division too, I know wasn't the greatest division as well, but I do think that counts for something as well.
Absolutely. And going back to Judge. Yeah, Ohtani is special. I get it. Aaron Judge was the best player on a team that got to the ALCS. How far did Ohtani take his team? Yeah. Not that far at all. I know he's a special player, but he didn't take his team that far at all. That's why Aaron Judge has got to be the unanimous MVP.
Yeah, absolutely. The Angels, they got out to a ridiculous start, and then they ended up being like 9 games under 500. So yeah, again, him and Trout are two great baseball players, but yeah, they really haven't gotten their team anywhere. And Judge this regular season again, the Yankees are a 500 team without Aaron Judge, I believe, or right around there. So without Aaron Judge in that lineup, it's a totally different Yankee team. And yeah, again, to hit over 60 home runs in a season is something that who knows, that's something that we haven't seen in a while. And it's probably something that we're not going to see again for a while.
We're not going to see that for years. We're not going to see a guy hit over 60 home runs for years. And if I see Shohei Ohtani as the MVP, that's the biggest injustice I've ever seen. It would be the biggest injustice I've ever seen in sports. They cannot do that.
No, and I don't think they will. I think there's enough New York writers out there that will go for him. Will vote for Judge. I do think pretty comfortably Judge is going to win this thing. Like I could see why Ohtani could win it. But I could see the writers, going with Ohtani, but I don't think they're dumb enough, because I think there would be a lot of heat from just a lot of sports fans if Ohtani gets it over Judge. I know record sometimes doesn't matter for the ML MVP, but it's far and away it has to be Aaron Judge.
Oh, absolutely. So the third CFP rankings came out yesterday, and we got a big game in LA. But before we talk about that, we're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
Alrighty, the CFP rankings came out last night for the third time. There's really no surprise in the rankings at all this time. I mean, with Georgia being number 1, Ohio State being number 2, Michigan number 3, TCU 4, Tennessee 5. There was no change there. Due to Oregon losing, LSU did move up to 6. USC did move up to 7. Bama is still 8, but they're out of it. They're with them not being able to win the SEC West. There's no shot. And then Clemson's 9. They need total chaos to happen for them to get in. And then Utah 10. So what were your thoughts on the rankings? Really no change from last week.
No, there wasn't. The only thing that they really told us that at North Carolina number 13, they're pretty much telling us, even if they somehow run the table, and win the ACC, that they got no shot at making the college football playoff. That was my big thing there. With UNC sitting there at 13th behind, 2 lost Ole Miss, 2 lost Oregon, 2 lost Penn State, Utah, and then Alabama. So that was the one thing that really kind of stood out to me, I guess, is North Carolina really does not have much of a chance unless I don't even know if chaos would help them out.
No,
I think they wouldn't even make it over 2 loss teams.
No, because that Notre Dame loss game was really going to hurt them. Even though Notre Dame's playing better, that loss is definitely going to hurt them.
Yeah, it is. It's funny because the 2 losses, North Carolina and Clemson both lost to Notre Dame.
Yeah,
like that will kill the ACC. That's going to kill the ACC.
Exactly. Yep. The team that was in the ACC 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they're unofficial member, I guess you want. Football member, I guess. So I think that was really the one thing it told me. And they don't really like UCLA very well. They don't.
No.
They're not. They were not big fans of UCLA as well.
No, not at all. No.
I get it, but they got 2 losses now, anyways. But yeah, that was a big thing to me. Was kind of North Carolina.
So, do you think that TCU's got to win all their games to get into the playoff? I do, and here's why. Because I think Georgia winds up winning out. And I think Georgia wins out, and I think that Ohio State or Michigan, one of those 2 teams, will win out. And then even the loser has a shot to get in. And then you look at Tennessee, who as a 1-loss team, I think they're going to definitely take Tennessee over TCU. So I think if TCU loses, I definitely think they're not going to make the playoff.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should, because you look at the Big 12, I know there's not a ton of top 25 teams, but you can argue there's a lot of teams that are probably in that like 26 to 35 range. And you look at the Big 10, outside of Penn State, the rest of the Big 10 stinks.
I agree. The Big 10 is not that good this year.
No, that Big 10 needs to get rid of divisions and fast.
Oh,
I know. It's killing their conference.
Yeah.
There's not too many quality wins where TCU, they may not have a ton, but they're again, the parity in the Big 12, because you don't have Kansas isn't a doormat anymore, or at least for this year. So like, I feel like TCU, should get a little bit more respect, but I agree. If they lose, they're out.
So say it's between TCU and Michigan for that 4th spot. Say that Michigan loses to Ohio State, TCU does lose a game. So Tennessee would be in as the 3rd team. And then if it came down to TCU and Michigan, you would take TCU?
Yeah, I would. I know the committee's going to take Michigan, but I would take TCU. The one thing about Michigan, too, is I mentioned we were talking about Michigan State non-conference schedule. They canceled a series with UCLA this year and next year to schedule Hawaii. They should be penalized.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
They should be penalized for that.
Yeah,
they really should, because that's ridiculous. And UCLA took it because they were looking for they wanted to buy out Adidas. So they took the $2 million Michigan gave them for that. So yeah, I thought, that's one thing that should be looked at, but I know it won't. And I do, think TCU should be over Michigan, because the one really quality win Michigan has is Penn State.
Penn State, yeah. At home. Like Ohio
Yeah.
State at least beat Penn State on the road, and they beat Notre Dame. So they're the team that could maybe afford to lose that game and still get in. Because they still, or they would still have a good chance of getting in. If Michigan loses, they shouldn't have a good chance of getting in because, their best win was Penn State at home.
Yeah, I think Michigan's strength of schedule is 82, and I think TCU's is 10 to 15 range. It's
Wow.
So yeah, it's somewhere around there, or maybe TCU's a little bit farther back than that, but yeah, Michigan's they ranked 82 again should really tell you that they really haven't beat anybody outside of Penn State, and Ohio State, Notre Dame has played better, but they did go on the road, they did schedule Notre Dame, and they got a win there, so I wouldn't be shocked if they put a number next to whoever wins the Big Ten West in the final week. I wouldn't be shocked that's 25th, and it kind of gives the Big Ten another top 25 win. So they might get one more depending on who wins that game. But I agree. Ohio State with that one loss, as long as it's close to Michigan, should probably still be able to sneak in over the 4. But I'd go TCU over Michigan.
So next question is, do you see a path for LSU or USC getting to the college football playoff?
I think USC could. They went out.
Both obviously got to win out.
Yeah, both got to win out. Maybe if Tennessee, I don't think Tennessee's losing to South Carolina or Vandy. But maybe if they're kind of close games and Tennessee gives up like 40 points on both of those. I don't see, I guess, LSU, I could still sneaking in as a 4. But I think Georgia runs the table if Ohio State wins. So Georgia, Ohio State. If TCU loses, they're gonna get knocked out. Michigan losing, maybe they could potentially knock Michigan down, but I think it'd be difficult. So I think if TCU loses, like maybe this week, and then even the Big 12 conference change game, they have 2 losses. So I guess they can get in even if Tennessee doesn't look great. But I think they need help. they're right there with Michigan, but USC's got Notre Dame 2 coming up. So that's another kind of nice win next week for USC, and they'll have the Pac-12 championship game too, which that will be another top 25 team because USC hasn't played anybody right now in the top 20. Well, besides the Utah game, but they lost that one, so they haven't played anybody top 25 yet or gotten a win so far.
Oh wow, USC. Yeah. This will be the next couple of weeks are very crucial for USC because they play UCLA, they play Notre Dame, and then probably Oregon or Utah in the Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah. So it's a big couple of weeks for USC, and again they could have 3 straight games here where they do knock off a top 25 team. That could be enough maybe to get in the 3 or 4 spot, but their defense has to play a lot better than it has though.
Absolutely. So we'll get to the games this week. We'll start with the battle in Texas between TCU and Baylor. I think this is a close competitive game, but I'm taking Max Duggan over Blake Shapen. I think that Quentin Johnson has a good game too. And that's why I got TCU staying undefeated and beating Baylor 27-20. But Justin, can Baylor hand TCU their first loss?
I think they do.
Wow.
I'm going to go Baylor 27-23. Again, TCU's offense wasn't great. Their defense really stepped up, but Quinn Ewers did not look good. I don't know if he's totally healthy yet. I don't know if there's been question this week if he's been battling and something in his hand. But I think Baylor, the way they're able to run the football, I think they play better. I think Blake Shapen plays a lot better than they did last week against Kansas State. I think David Aranda's team comes out. For whatever reason, maybe they're looking ahead, but Baylor's the preseason favorite, in the Big 12 this year. So, they got something to prove here. It's a rivalry game. I think Baylor would love to knock off TCU and kind of put their hopes of getting to a playoff in jeopardy. I think Baylor finds a way. I think TCU this week, falls short of going for an undefeated season.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really close game, but I do think TCU pulls it out. We got a game that we thought was going to be good before the season started as Georgia faces Kentucky. We thought this game might determine the SEC East, but that's definitely not the case because Kentucky has really underachieved. Will Levis has not had the year we thought he was going to have. And I think in this game, I think Georgia wins this one big. I think they stop Chris Rodriguez, force Will Levis to turn the ball over a couple times. I think they run the ball all over Kentucky's defense. And that's why I got Georgia winning this one 38-10.
Yeah, I got Georgia as well, 35-14. I don't know if Will Levis is totally healthy either right now. That O-line, they're giving up 4 sacks a game. Their defense has played really well this year, but I think a couple turnovers this game is going to, put the defense in a bad spot. Yeah, I think Rodriguez is probably going to have a rough day. I think Georgia, the secondary is going to play well. I think Kentucky's going to have a hard time moving the football. And, I'm going to go with Georgia winning this game by a couple scores. But, again, before the year, this was a very exciting game, but, and definitely was one where, we could, definitely see the winner of this game win the SEC East. But Kentucky's really underachieved this year.
Another game we thought was going to be exciting before the season, Miami and Clemson. But again, it's because the quarterbacks just haven't, 2 CT quarterbacks haven't been as good as we thought they were going to be. And we got Miami and Clemson. I think this game's a blowout. I think DJ has a good game. I think Clemson's able to run the ball well. I think that Clemson's defense forces Miami to turn the ball over a couple of times. That's why I got Clemson winning by 3 scores, winning 31-10.
Yeah, I got Clemson 41-16. I don't know if Van Dyke's going to play. He's been battling a shoulder injury, so he may be out. Chris Ball's been a train wreck. I really like the way Clemson bounced back last week. I thought DJ Uiagalelei played really well. I think Will Shipley runs the ball well against this Miami team. Miami just, again, I've said it a bunch. I don't like Chris Ball. He's not a very good X's and O's coach. He's a heck of a recruiter. He's going to recruit really well down there. But he'll never bring him a national championship. It's big games. Usually, we saw last year. I think this could be something where we saw, Utah against Oregon last year where they just manhandled them up front. I think what Clemson could definitely do that, especially that defensive line of Clemson. I think Clemson up front's going to do whoever plays quarterback for Miami.
Yeah. I think Clemson's got a big game up front. We got an SEC matchup in Columbia as Tennessee faces South Carolina. I think this is another blowout. Spencer Rattler. Remember all the hype he got going into high school? They should have known watching that documentary when he quit his high school team that this guy is not the guy, and he's definitely proven not to be the guy. and I think this is going to be a complete blowout. I think that Hyatt and Hendon Hooker have big games. I think Rattler turns the ball over a couple times, and that's why I got Tennessee going to 10-1, winning this game 41-13.
Yeah, I got Tennessee winning this one big, 52-13. Yeah. And I don't mind in that show, I don't mind a little cockiness, but man, he used to just taunt his back of quarterback. I would hate to play with that guy. I'd hate it.
All the talent in the world.
All
the talent in the world, but he just doesn't have it up here. Have it up here.
And it's rare because usually the quarterbacks are the smartest ones on the field. Usually, but yeah, he's the different one. That's not the case with Spencer Rattler. He's again that pocket collapse on him. He's a train wreck. He'll throw that ball whatever which way. I think Hendon Hooker plays really well in this game. I think Florida just put up 38 on last week. They ran the ball all over South Carolina. I think Tennessee can do the same thing. South Carolina somehow has to limit the explosive plays. I just don't think they're going to be able to do that this week.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. We got UAB heading to LSU. I think this is a game where LSU contains the run game. I think another game where Jaden Daniels plays well. And I got LSU cruising in this game, winning it 31-13.
Yeah, I got LSU winning this one 27-17. UAB's top 30 in both offensive defense, total offensive defense. LSU again didn't look great, and KJ Jefferson didn't play last week. The defense played really well. UAB's 0-4 on the road, but they've kept it close, and all 4 games they've only lost by 7 points or less. Dwayne McBride, the UAB running backs, he's gone over 100 yards every game this year. They're one of the best running teams in college football, but I think it's LSU. They're going to have a little bit of trouble up front trying to do that. I think UAB keep this thing close, but a Saturday night Death Valley is just a very intimidating place to play. I think LSU finds a way to get a win. I think maybe sleepwalk in the first half, but I think they're able to pull away in the second.
We got the big one at the Rose Bowl on Saturday night as number 7 USC faces number 16 UCLA. And I think this one's going to be a great one to watch. I think Caleb Williams is going to have a huge game. I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson's going to have a huge game. Sean Burnett's going to have a huge game. I think it's going to come right down to the end, but I think USC and Caleb Williams makes that big drive to send them to Vegas for the Pac-12 championship game. And that's why I got USC beating UCLA 41-13, but 41-38, but can UCLA ruin USC season?
Yes, because it's the Pac-12, and absolute chaos always happens. So I got the Bruins 38-34.
Wow.
The Pac-12 always cannibalizes itself. I should have known last week with Oregon and Washington that same thing was going to happen. I think the big thing for UCLA this week is how do they defend Caleb Williams? When he's on the run, they didn't really do a good job last week against Jaden Delorio of Arizona, and Arizona in the 2 losses in the loss last week, Arizona really limited, UCLA's explosive plays. They kind of, they didn't get a ton of those big plays that's kind of what they count on. That's kind of what Chip Kelly offense wants to do. They didn't really do that. And LSU or UCLA as well. On 3rd and 4th down, they're one of the worst teams in the country. I think on 4th down, they're giving up the conversion 72% of the time. And I think on 3rd down, it's right around 50%. Like, they have to get off the field if they want to win this game against USC. But I think Thompson Robinson plays well enough. I think Zach Cabernet runs the ball well enough against USC. I think UCLA at home, they find a way to win it. It's weird. The Rose, UCLA announced that, it's sold out at 70,000 people, but but they sit 91,000. So I don't understand what.
Yeah. Why would your capacity be 70? Why would you lower the capacity to say it's a sellout?
I have no idea. So we'll find out Saturday night, but they sold all their I think their student section sits over 1,600 or 16,000, and they sold that out as well. So, should be a great crowd at the Rose Bowl Saturday, but I'll take UCLA to find a way to create ultimate chaos.
Yeah, and this will be the game where the UCLA fans finally show up. They finally show up because they probably didn't show up last week against Arizona.
No, it wasn't that. For a team that's still fighting for a playoff spot, it was not that. It was not as full as you would expect.
No, probably not. So we got another big game in the Pac-12, even though we thought this game would be bigger than it was, as we got Utah facing Oregon. And I think this is another close competitive game in Eugene. I think Bo Nix plays well. I think Tavion Thomas runs the ball well. But I'm going to go with the team with the better quarterback, and I'm going to go with Bo Nix over Cam Rising. And I think Oregon's going to get revenge on what Utah did to them last year. And I got Oregon beating Utah 27-24. But can Utah continue to have Oregon's number?
I don't think they do at the Zoo. It's tough to Oregon just lost there last week. It's tough to, Oregon usually does not lose 2 straight home games. I got Oregon 34-31. Now, Bo Nix had dinged up towards the end of that game. He was not on the injury report this week, so I assume he's good to go, but something to watch out for that could help Utah. But Utah has been a totally different team away from home. They've not looked great. They blown pretty much everybody out at home besides that USC game. But they've really struggled on the road. I don't think they've won by more than one possession. Besides Arizona State this year, I think the only game that they've won by more 2 scores on the road. But it's not the normal Utah team where up front they're as physical, where that just absolutely destroyed the Ducks last year. I think they got to be able to Rising should have some success through the air because Oregon's just not great in that category. But I think Oregon's going to slow down the running game. I think that'll be enough. And I think the Ducks find a way, at home. I think Bo Nix bounces back and, and they win this game 31-27 and set up, which could be a top 25 matchup for what actually it's not called the Civil War anymore, but now it's, with Oregon State next week could be a top 25 matchup for the first time in I don't know how long.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting if both those teams are in the top 25. But yeah, big week in the Pac-12. These 2 winners definitely can determine who goes to Vegas. I bet you USC wins, they go to Vegas, but these 2 winners definitely can determine who goes to Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely will. Because it could be a playing game if they don't slip up. Utah probably won't play in Colorado. If they win this one, they should probably they should beat Colorado next week. But yeah, Oregon's still gonna have a tough one, especially going up to Corvallis. So yeah, absolutely. Could be a playing game for these 2, but obviously they got one more next week. But this is definitely a big one here to determine who gets one of those spots in the championship game in a couple weeks.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll wrap up the show talking about the Champions Classic from last night, and we will start with the first game between Kentucky and Michigan State. Really good game between the 2 teams. Michigan State wins the game in double overtime. And we'll first talk about Kentucky, though, and here's the big question. Can Oscar Tshiebwe carry the Wildcats to their first Final Four appearance since the 2015 season?
I think he can, but the problem is, unless you're Anthony Davis or that type of guy, and I know Davis had other guys around him, it's the guard play that wins you March. And, Tshiebwe is such a beast that he could do it. But I think they're going to be a bit better shooting the basketball this year from deep. That really hurt them last year. They brought in CJ Frederick from Iowa, Antonio Rivas from Illinois State, who's, they're both, right around 40% 3-point shooters, which is going to help. And then Carson Wallace, their top rated signing last year. He played really well and he had 8 steals last night. So I think together they can. I just don't trust Calipari at all. He's a train wreck in the tournament usually. So for the last couple of years he has. So I think they have the scoring, but they didn't shoot it great last night, but I think that will improve upon the next, by March. But I got to see Walls more and Frederick a little bit more before I kind of say that those are 2 guards that could lead them to the Final Four.
What about Michigan State? We've seen they've had 2 games against Gonzaga and they've played Kentucky. What are your expectations for Tom Izzo's squad this year?
Yeah, for Izzo's team, they've looked a lot better than I thought. They brought back a lot of guys from last year. He didn't really go with the portal route this year. He's got the number 3 class coming in next year. He's got, next year is going to be where you're going to really, Michigan State's going to be kind of back where they belong. Right now, I've been really impressed with the way they played. Again, they're not conferences. They got Nova coming up. Then they go to, the PK 85 where, UConn may see them coming up. They play Notre Dame on the road. So he's scheduled really well. His team's going to be challenged going to Big Ten play. They're going to be ready. But it's the same thing too. That guard, the last couple of years, it's been that point guard spot. Tyson Walker's more of a kind of score first guy. But AJ Hoggard, I thought, was really good sharing the basketball. Maybe he's going to be that point guard, but I haven't really seen it the last couple of years. But last night, maybe maybe he's going to be that guy that could kind of lead them. But I've been very impressed with Michigan State. And if I had very early, but right now I put them right now in the top 10. And I think that's a team that could get to a second weekend.
We go to the second game, and Kansas beat Duke last night, 69-64. What can John Shire take the Blue Devils back to the Final Four?
They can. I love the length that they have when they get Whitehead back as well. He's recovering from foot surgery still. Whitehead's 6'6", so they're gonna have him. Bielkowski's at 7 foot, Lively 6'10", and those three with the length. And again, I know I'm one of the few people that criticize K, but the last couple years under K, their defense was atrocious. They played zero defense the last couple years. Shire got them to buy in on defensive end of the floor. They were really great in that area. They have been through the first couple of games, so that's something too. But for them, who's gonna be that guard that's gonna knock down Shire? Because Whitehead is a decent 3-point shooter. He's not exceptional in one thing, but he's very good at but he can do a little bit of everything. I think Bielkowski is supposed to be that guy, but at 7 feet, he hasn't been great so far. Roach wasn't great from 3 last week, but it's leadership with Duke. It's as I meant, it's guards and seniors. Duke doesn't really have that, but they have the talent to get there. So I wouldn't be shocked, but I have to see more from Shire too as an in-game coach before. But I am never taking a first-year head coach to ever win a national championship. I learned my lesson after Arizona last year.
Yeah, Paul. I bet you did. And for Kansas, can they repeat as national champions?
Yeah, I think I love their defense. McCullough, bringing in Kevin McCullough, coming in from Texas Tech. I love their wings. Like they just, Jalen Wilson, probably going to be one of the best players in the country. He's probably going to win, could win Big 12 Player of the Year. Them and Baylor, because Baylor's got the best backcourt in the country. Those two meetings are going to be really fun. Grady Dick, who I was very impressed with last night, I think he's going to kind of fit at that Christian Brown role from last year. He really came on at the end of last year. They have a ton of length. They had 13 block shots last year. Their defense was phenomenal. They just got in the passing lanes. They made it really difficult for Duke to really do much of anything offensively. For them too, it's going to be, where's the offense going to come from night in and night out? And then, Harris too at the point guard spot. He's really good. He may not be a great scorer, but assist wise, he's great in that area. So I think Kansas definitely has a very good shot to get back there. Just, how are they gonna, where's the scoring gonna come from? Because that's the one thing about Jalen Wilson is that 3-point shooting. Can that be a part of his game? To take him that next level. That's the one thing he's really missing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with these teams going forward. I bet they're all going to be top 10 teams this year. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking about Week 12 of the NFL season, the huge game in Columbus, and some World Cup soccer. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees are not. They're even close to the best organization in baseball.
They're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts, and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.